All fun and games until you're above 6,000 feet. Man, this mountain is kicking my tail.
Hey, I'm Bill Marion, and this is A Nose for Life. Well, it was time for Carolyn and me to enjoy a much-needed getaway. I wanted to go to the beach, and she wanted to go to the mountains, so we compromised and we went to the mountains. And for me, that's a win-win situation. We booked a few nights at the Pisgah Inn just outside Asheville, North Carolina on the Blue Ridge Parkway for a peaceful getaway. And by peaceful, I mean exhausting, but in a good way. I went hiking. This video is part 2 about my time hiking Graveyard Fields, only that in this video, we're not going to spend a lot of time actually at Graveyard Fields, but in that general area. I hiked Graveyard Fields in part 1, but you don't have to watch part 1 to enjoy this video. We're going to be gaining some serious elevation and talk about these amazing peaks. But if you want to check out part 1 first, just click on the tab in the corner of your screen now. Be sure to come back to this video after watching that one. Regardless, I'll leave a card at the end of this video as well. First, just a quick review. Graveyard Fields is a part of the Shining Rock Wilderness area in Pisgah National Forest, and it's the largest wilderness area in North Carolina. Shining Rock Wilderness is home to several high-elevation ridges with the most amazing views in the Appalachian Mountains. In this video, I'm hiking 2 of these amazing mountaintops, Tennent Mountain and Black Balsam Knob. Only it was a complete accident. I did it completely wrong. Let me say this again so there's no misunderstanding. I did this all wrong. So if you're an expert hiker and you know this area like the back of your hand, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and I hope you watch all of this video. But trust me, I get it. I didn't do this hike the right way. And yes, there is a wrong way to hike a trail in case you didn't know. In fact, it wasn't until I got home to Virginia that I figured out how I got myself into this mess. I mean, glorious, wonderful hiking adventure.
Spring is definitely springing here in Pisgah National Forest, the North Carolina Blue Ridge Mountains. Gorgeous day, absolutely beautiful.
When I arrived at Graveyard Fields, I wasn't interested in the 2 waterfalls. For some reason, I wanted to climb the ridgeline. It's called Graveyard Ridge, I guess because it overlooks Graveyard Fields. I don't know how your hiking adventures begin, but most of the time, especially on a day like today, I feel like I can do anything. I wasn't just hiking, I was strutting along Graveyard Ridge, having a wonderful time. It was a decent trail, a little muddy, very rocky. Okay, by decent I just mean it was a pretty day. Anyway, I kept looking for a connecting trail that led to the top of Graveyard Ridge, but I never found that trail. But there is a trail that does run along Graveyard Ridge, and I have to tell you a little bit about that trail because it's extremely interesting. It's called North Carolina's Mountain to Sea Trail, or MST, because, acronyms are fun. I don't know why I'm the last to hear about this long-distance trail, but it's fascinating. Check this out. This trail begins at Kleeman's Dome in the Great Smoky Mountains, where it connects to the Appalachian Trail, and then it goes all the way out to the Outer Banks. Get it? Mountain to Sea. Currently, about half the trail is finished, and whoever came up with this idea is a genius. I'm not sure about the name just yet, but I'm sure it'll grow on me. Have you ever hiked any of this trail? Let us know in the comments. Okay, let's get back to Graveyard Ridge. A couple of miles later, I found this sign and 3 mysterious hikers. These 3 hikers were experienced, and by experienced, I mean they were old enough to have followed Moses through here. If they weren't in their 70s, they were at least in their 80s, and they recommended this trail. They clearly stated that they had just come off this trail and that I would really enjoy it. They weren't out of breath or even sweating. They told me that they were hunting for wildflowers and showed me a million pictures. On their recommendation, I started on this trail, and yes, immediately, I started climbing. Not once did I think I was heading to 6,000 feet of elevation. Not once did I realize that I was on the Mountain to Sea Trail, sort of, and even if I wasn't in this moment, I would be in a few hours. All that I knew at the time is that I was definitely climbing, and the views were amazing.
So every now and then people will ask me, like, why do I go hiking in the middle of nowhere and do this kind of thing? It's because of views like this. You can't see this from the road. You can't see this from an overlook. There's no way to see this unless you leave the road, unless you go hiking. And it's absolutely incredible. Not to mention the fact that the weather is great. Yeah, I'm exhausted and I'm not even done with this hike, but it's just perfect. Sometimes you just got to get off the road.
But I've noticed an issue with trails in this region. They're not exactly marked well, and it's easy to get off the trail. No, I didn't get lost. Not exactly. If you watched part 1, you'll remember me talking about the amount of rain and how much water comes off these mountains. Well, that means there's a lot of mud, and people walk around the mud, and when they do, they create alternative trails. Then animals make their own trails. I even visited some websites about the trails in this area, and other people say the same thing. Somewhere in this area, I lost the main trail. Remember, I wasn't exactly heading to a specific location. I was just exploring. But then I set my eyes on this mountaintop. I didn't know the name of it at the time or anything like that, and it looked like it was just up there, and I thought I was going the right direction, towards the mountain. I mean, it's right there. But it turns out I wasn't on the official trail any longer. Not lost, just not on the right road. Now, that explanation never works with Carolyn, so you're probably not buying it either. But it doesn't matter, because I soon realized that I wasn't on a trail at all. Rather, I was blazing my own trail straight up the face of Tennent Mountain. 6,040 feet of mountain. Trust me, this wasn't on purpose.
Steep isn't even the right word for this. I mean, look at this. It's like straight up a horse's face. It's insane. I gotta walk that in the mud.
But have you ever had something stuck in your head and whatever it takes, you're gonna get it done? Well, that's how I felt about climbing this mountain. And I did. Tennent Mountain and Black Balsam Knob are often included when listing the most amazing mountain balds in the Southern Appalachians. A mountain bald is a mountain summit or crest covered by thick vegetation like grasses or shrubs instead of trees. Over the past couple of years, we've spent a lot of time on mountaintops in West Virginia that remind you more of the mountaintops in New England or even Canada. West Virginia's climate supports this kind of growth, but here in the southern mountains of Appalachia, the climate is too warm to support an alpine zone, even though the elevation is significantly higher than the mountaintops of West Virginia. But why don't grassy balds support hardwoods? Well, here's the truth. Grassy balds are a mystery. At one time, it was believed that even though the Southern Appalachian Mountains experience a warmer climate, at these high elevations, a shorter growth season makes it difficult for hardwoods to get started. But that's not likely. However, it just so happens that these balds are often located in areas where the soil experiences heavy drainage and is highly acidic, which would complicate the growth of large wooded plants. Well, there's a problem with that explanation too. Like I said, it's a mystery, but there's no evidence that trees have ever grown on Southern Appalachia's grassy balds here or elsewhere. A short hike from Tennent Mountain is Black Balsam Knob. Since I was in the neighborhood and it wasn't out of the way or anything, I decided to visit Black Balsam Knob too. Here's some information you might find interesting. In Southern Appalachian Mountains, the highest point on a ridge is often referred to as a knob or dome. In this case, Black Balsam Knob is the highest point on this ridge. That's how you end up with Tennent Mountain and Black Balsam Knob. Black Balsam Knob is a very popular hike for many reasons, starting with its location. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't execute this hike well at all. If I had known I was hiking to Black Balsam Knob and Tennent Mountain, I would have started at this other parking lot, and I wouldn't be so sore a week later. This trail is just off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and from the right starting point, even inexperienced hikers can reach these amazing mountaintops in under 2 hours. And yet it doesn't take long to realize that you're in a vast wilderness area. Here you can enjoy panoramic views, and later in the summer, you can gorge on blackberries and blueberries and take in the sweet-scented groves of shady balsam fir. This is also a portion of the 30-mile Art Loeb Trail. This historic trail traverses the peaks of the Balsam Mountains of North Carolina.
This is a hiking stick, and this was made possible by Billy McDaniel. Sir, I salute you. Thank you.